All right, we're recording. Hi, everyone. And it is Wednesday, February 3rd at 10 a.m. Pacific. And I am here to talk to you about a subject that has become completely dear and wonderful to my heart. And it was actually the most dreaded subject, topic, issue, thing in my life about, I would say even 2 years ago. It was really bad about 4 years ago when I started using the tools of access. And I actually have instituted pretty much everything that Gary Douglas has said in regards to finances. And I've created my own fun magic formula of how to have total financial awareness. And I have been absolutely loving it. It has created tons of money for me. And I now have this thing that I want to share with people. So I'm this telecall is called Organizing Your Finances. But somebody's yelling. I'm muting some people. What do I need to mute? Oh, it was Catherine. So the first thing I'm going to take your guys' questions, but the first thing that I want to talk about is just kind of my story and where all of this stuff came from, because when I first started doing Access, I was 19 years old, 4.5 years ago, and I had absolutely no idea how to do taxes. I hated it. And Gary Douglas was saying things like, you need to save all your receipts. Or he didn't say save all your receipts. He said you need to know every amount of money that you spend and every amount that comes in. And at that time, that was the most tedious task. And I know that it still is for a lot of you to actually have that level of financial awareness. So I started doing this and I hated it. There were times when saving a receipt was like I wanted to vomit. I would have this stack of receipts and I would look at it and I would go, how am I ever supposed to categorize this? And so I hired people to do it, and that didn't work either. So I realized this is actually something that I have to do on my own. And it's not that the universe wanted me to do it on my own, but it was I knew it was going to create greater in my life if I actually did this for me. And it was such a level. It was like being aware of what was possible financially and what I was creating at the time financially that wasn't the best. That awareness was the number one thing I absolutely did not want to have at all. And I don't know if you guys look at your financial world and there's that energy of just a huge mess, and you don't know what to do with it, and you don't know where to start, and you don't know how to fill out your books, and you don't know how to do all that stuff. And you can hire people to do it. But this call is actually for those of you who you still have bookkeepers and accountants and things like that. I mean, obviously, I still have an accountant. I'm kind of my own bookkeeper. I still have people file things and stuff. But there's a space that's available when you actually go through that awful, intense, thick energy that most of you have when you look at your financial world and take the steps to organize it. Because I thought that I could kind of get around it. And for some of you, maybe you will be able to get around it in a different way. Gary's social media expert, Megan Hill, she was always, I have the hiccups. She was always trying to save her receipts, and she was always trying to create this place where she, was managing her money and saving the receipts and doing everything perfectly. And it never worked for her. And it never worked. Sorry, I'm muting my own thing. I should have somebody else running this for me.
Sorry.
Let's see. Oh, it's Jennifer. Hi, Jennifer.
Hi. Oh, I can mute myself.
Yes, you can. Wow, there's a lot of people on here. This is awesome. So it created this place where she was looking at her receipts and she just didn't want to do it. And so she actually is so good at making money that Gary just said to her, you know what? Just have somebody else manage your money and do all that stuff for you. And that actually worked for her. For me, that's not what worked. I kept trying to make that happen and trying to make that happen, and I could never create it. So once I actually sat down and like looked at this pile of receipts, and now I have this space where I find it so fun to ask for receipts. Like I'm like, can I have my receipt? And when I'm in a taxi, can I have my receipt? And I love asking for receipts, and it's become this like really fun thing. Whereas before I would like try to forget and avoid it, and I did not want to know any of that stuff. So now like I had the receipts, and I looked at them, and it was such a painful energy. And I just took one receipt, and I wrote you can't find the date on them. I wrote the date at the top so I could see the receipt, and then I put it in the January pile. And I took them all and I categorized them. And then I put them into brown envelopes. And when I say I did this took me about 7 months of procrastination before I actually did this. I stared at them for 7 months. And that's what this call is about, so that we can clear everything that comes in the way of you staring at them for 7 months, everywhere you're not willing to have that awareness, and everything that you bought from your parents and your family about finances, and how you couldn't have more than enough. Because what we're doing when we're actually looking at accounting and all of these things is we're not changing, how do I put it? It's not necessarily about the doing. You don't have to be a conscious bookkeeper per se. But for me personally, my finances changed entirely once I had these systems in place, and everything is just peace and ease, and I can choose whatever I want because I have the money to choose it. So what was I saying? So with Megan, it was a different story. It was like that actually doesn't work for me. Her rearranging the universe in a different way created the money that she wanted to have. For me, it was like every receipt that I organized, that I knew what it was, and I knew exactly how much I spent on what. I was like, it was horrible at first. Like I wanted to die. But after I did one and another, and then everything was in a separate envelope, I looked at it and I was like, I could actually feel how my entire future had changed as a result of that choice. Because this isn't a doing, but it's a rearranging of the energy of your financial life so that you know what is. And I will say up front that I do expect this call to be quite heavy, the first call anyways, because it is such an intense energy for people. The reason I chose to do this call is because it's like, let's fucking cross-cut all of the just like that avoidance, and let's just go straight through it and plow through it as a group, because nobody's ever done a call like this. Nobody's actually, we talk and pod around money, and I'm actually looking forward to going, hey, what is actually going to create now, and how can we rearrange? Because the awareness is how you create money. When you actually ignore that pile of receipts, you're telling money that you don't like it. You're not actually getting excited about what you spend. Daria, and I see there's a question in the chat. I'll answer in a second. My friend Daria actually pays the bills for Access Consciousness, and she loves it. She comes into the room and she's like, oh my gosh, I can perceive the energy of money as it's leaving the company. It just wants to be spent on these things. And then when the money comes in, she's like, I talk to the money and it talks to me. And it's so exciting. I'm just so happy. And I looked at her and I was like, are you serious? And then I asked her more questions, and I was like, that is actually a huge amount of freedom. So everything you guys are doing to ignore when money is talking to you, will you destroy and uncreate it all? Right and wrong, good and bad, all 9 podpoc shorts with you. And our receipts and our bookkeeping and our bank statements and our credit card statements are money. Like, they are a part of the energy of money. And when we ignore that part of it, trying to go, la, 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 I can't hear you, you're actually not able to create your future. You're ignoring your future. You're making sure you're not committed to your life, and you're definitely making sure you're not committed to your finances. So how many causal incarcerations, causal incarnations, causal incongruities, and causal inculcations are you using to avoid the financial prosperity and abundance and awareness you could be choosing? And everything that brings up times a godzillion, will you destroy and uncreate it all?
Yes.
Right and wrong, good and bad, all 9 pod and poc shorts, boys and beyond. So let me go in the chat. So Daniel says, will this help us with our past expenditure? Yeah, definitely. So that actually brings us to a good point. In the original How to Become Money workbook, which I have read 22 times because I have OCD, and I knew how reading that book would change my life. And in that book, it says, if you want to pay off your debt instantly, take 10% of everything that you earn and put it straight on your debts, straight on your past expenditures. This actually works faster than you think it would. And then the other part of this call, actually, this is the main reason I'm doing this call, is because I'm realizing that people don't actually keep to their 10% account when they're doing Access. Like, it's confusing or convoluted, or they have this account in their bank and they sort of put a estimation of that money into the 10%, but then maybe they take it out, but then they don't take it out, but then you don't know exactly how much is supposed to be in there. And then say maybe you bought a piece of jewelry, with the money from the 10%, and you don't know exactly how much that's worth. And is it worth how much you paid for it? Is it worth how much it's appraised? It's like there's so much confusion around the 10%. It's ridiculous. And so I actually want to take like a huge portion of one of these calls and go, okay, so where is your 10%? What totals do you use to calculate the 10%? Do you have a business 10%? Do you have a personal 10%? Are those together? For me, I put away 20% of everything. 10% goes into personal, 10% goes into business. And since I've been doing the business, my business, is making, well over $10,000 a month, which I'm quite happy with. And I'm actually, looking for 20 or 30 a month, but, it's growing and growing and growing. And I actually get the energy of the 20,000 coming really soon. And that's actually just started since I've started the business 10%. So I actually want to work with you guys. And this is going to be a very individual call as well. We're going to be on Zoom like this. I'm going to show you guys my cute little perfume box from Kate Spade that all the receipts go in, and then how I do all of the different bills in different brown envelopes. It's like this fun thing, and I have a glass of wine or I have a cup of tea and I do it and I love it. And that's not normal, apparently. It wasn't normal for me. This is actually an area where I've seen the most change for me, and I would love to just like work with you guys and support you on like answering the questions. I had nobody to go to, and I really have worked harder with finances in Access more than anybody I know. Like, I have been so diligent, and it's taken me 4.5 years to get where I am now. And I'm just getting here now. And I'm like, wow, this actually has worked. And if we can get you guys there within a matter of a couple of months, that is a huge gift that I really want to be a part of creating in your lives. Because it's a huge thing. Money is the root of all evil. Money is something we want to ignore. Money is dirty. Receipts are dirty. Taxes are dirty. Fuck the government. All of these points of view are what are creating our financial reality. So everything that is, will you destroy and uncreate it all? Right and wrong, good and bad, all 9 pod poc shorts, boys me up.
Yes.
So those points of view are what's creating our financial reality. And we actually look at it and go, okay, that's it. Catherine, can you be in charge of reminding me that I need monitors for my Zoom Hangouts? I always forget to have a monitor, and we have like hundreds of people on sometimes, and I'm like, there's no monitor. So what I wanted to say though was, all of these things have created our financial reality rather than our celebration creating our financial reality. I spent a long time going from absolute hell to this actually being a celebration for me, and this actually being fun for me. And we're actually going to look at the difference between keeping your books on, there's QuickBooks and all that stuff. That's not what I'm going to be working with you guys on. We're going to look at Excel, and we're going to look at ledgers, like plain old paper ledgers. And I actually went to Staples and took a picture for you guys of all the different kinds of ledgers. And we're going to talk about the different kinds of ledgers and the different kinds of columns. And I have an amazing ledger. My friends always laugh at me because I'll be with like my big book with all my columns and rows, and I have everything. I will teach you guys about the different columns and how that works with what categories you put things in and how your taxes work with that. So anyways, I have this big book and I sit with it and I have these receipts and I put them in and I'm just happy as a clam. So everything that doesn't allow you guys to be happy as a clam when it comes to your finances, will you destroy and uncreate it all? Right and wrong, good and bad, all 9 podpoc, shorts, boys, and beyonds. So yes. Will you help us get to $10,000 a month? Danielle said, yes, I will. But you guys have to work really hard. This is not something I can just spoon feed you, but I will, I'm going to be there so that when you cannot sit down or something comes up and you start having a financial panic attack, you have the next call to we can actually talk about the underlying points of view. And actually, as I'm talking right now, I'm getting that this is a bigger subject maybe than I realized in 3 calls, but we can extend it. I'm not just going to leave you guys in a lurch. Oops. Okay, so will you help us get to $10,000? Yes, financial awareness is the first step, Danielle. And if I can do it at 23 years old, anybody can do it. So will this help, or with the business 10%, do you spend this or use it on the business? Nope, it just sits. It's growing and growing and growing. Jackie, only 2 days ago, my son told me about wave accounting and it's free. Okay, well, maybe we'll have to look into that. I've never heard of such a thing. So what kind of things do you guys, Joylyn, boy, everybody has something to say. This is awesome. I used an app called FreshBooks. It's awesome, and I love scanning my receipts. Awesome. That's awesome. So there's lots of different options. We're not all just going to use the ledger option. But the way that we do everything is going to be different. I'm going to show you guys how I did it, and then you guys can also share the things that you have done that work for you. So I think it's going to be quite a generative way where everybody is contributing to the change as well, and the interaction. So everywhere you guys decided that you are bad people for not having this done, because this should just be a given, it's not that hard, will you destroy and uncreate that times a godzillion? Right, wrong, good and bad, all 9 podpoc, shorts, boys, and beyonds. I got some smiles and yawns and laughs on that. That's good. Cool. So, does anybody have any questions right now? Dear God, we're already over half done, and I just felt like I just got it started talking. No questions? Okay. So there were so many things I had to say. What else did I want to say? Let's do another clearing here. Who have you bought your financial reality from? The main chunk of it. Was it your mom? It was parents. Jackie says parents. It's your dad. For me, I was raised to dream like a princess, but I was not supposed to receive like a princess. I was supposed to work hard. And the beauty of this is you don't actually have to work hard. You just have to be aware. And that's what this is about, is financial awareness. Where would you have to look? Get the energy of this. Where would you have to perceive and shed light on and look at in your financial world in order for it to change completely? So the bookkeeping and the looking at what's actually going to work for you in terms of a system of financial awareness, that's actually just one part of perceiving your financial world and rearranging it. Because when you're ignoring it, when you have all this undone bookkeeping, or you don't understand the 10%, you don't understand your banking fees, you don't understand your credit card fees, you don't even want to look at those statements, that's creating your financial world. So when you look at them, that's already shifting it. But when you look at the other places and perceive into your financial world, that's what's going to change your financial world. It's not about doing. We were all taught we had to work hard and hustle. It's not about that. The more conscious you become, the more you can look at something without a point of view and just change it. And it just changes. You know, Shannon O'Hara talks about when she has a telecall and people aren't registered or paid the day of, but she knows they're coming. She goes, ooh, and she pulls them in. And within 30 seconds, her inbox fills up with their registrations. That's financial awareness. She didn't do anything for that. She was aware and conscious, and she made a choice to go, and pull them in. So everywhere you're not willing to know those capacities that you already have, will you destroy and uncreate at all times a godzillion? Right and wrong, good and bad, all nine, pot and pock, shorts, boys, and beyonds. Cool. We had a question. You said this is related to love. Oh, I was joking. Actually, that's a good question, Jackie, because I was joking, but I wasn't joking. So I'll tell you guys the backstory. This is a good backstory. So the bulk of this stuff has really just changed for me in the last 6 months. And what has changed is I got into I don't want to say serious relationship. I've gotten into a fucking awesome relationship. And I noticed that when I got into the relationship, I racked up a whole bunch of debt, a whole bunch of past expenditures right at the beginning. And I called Gary and I said, I made this list. I woke up one morning. I had done a whole bunch of money clearings the night before. And I woke up one morning and I hopped out of bed and I made this list with 8 things on it. And it was like number 1 priority in my life to number 8 priority in my life, the most to the least. And number 1 was my boyfriend. Number 2 was his kids. And at the bottom of the list, number 7 and number 8 were finances and banking and business. Those things went at the bottom of my list, and I didn't give a shit about them. And the top 2 things were, basically love. And so I looked at the list and I was like, this is not working. Like my life I'm in an amazing relationship, but I knew somehow in the back of my mind that I would lose it if I didn't change this. So I phoned up Gary right away and I said, Gary, I just made this list, and I read him the list from 1 to 8. And he said to me, Julia, you have to flip the order. He says you have to put finances and business at the top, and you have to put your boyfriend and his kids at the bottom. He said, because if you don't have your money working, you actually can't receive from him. And he said, when your money is working and you have the money to choose things in your life, then you can have any relationship you want and you can receive from anybody you want. But he said, if that's at the bottom and you're not having money is taking care of yourself. And if you're not having money, you're not taking care of yourself. So you can't actually be in a relationship. So that's why I said in the promotional material, I said, you guys, if nothing else, do this for love, because you can't have love until your finances are in order. It's straight from the mouth of the G-man. So everywhere you're not willing to take care of yourself, will you destroy and uncreate it all times a godzillion? Right and wrong, good and bad, all 9, pock and pod, shorts, boys, and beyonds. Yeah, because we do have a tendency to go, I'm not willing to, love is superior to money, or we find that taking care of ourselves is being loved. Having money is, in my reality at that time, was what I was actually required. Like it was a part of my life I was purposely ignoring. Wait, we have a question. Peggy says, that's not true. Peggy says, that's not true. I know plenty of people who have love and their finances are crap. That's funny. Well, that's good. That's probably true, but that definitely was not my reality. So you just have to ask for yourself. So what energy, space, and consciousness can you and your body be to have your back financially? Everything that doesn't allow that to show up times a godzillion, will you destroy and uncreate it all? Right and wrong, good and bad, all nine, pock and pod, shorts, boys, and beyonds. And what energy, space, and consciousness can you and your body be to create $10,000 or more per month with total ease? And everything that doesn't allow that, and let's say net, everything that doesn't allow that times a godzillion, will you destroy and uncreate it all? Right and wrong, good and bad, all nine, pod, pock, shorts, boys, and beyonds. You look so pretty on the floor there, Jen, all laid out. All right, Eleanor, more choices with money and love. So everything that doesn't allow you to have both money and love, will you destroy and uncreate it all? Right and wrong, good and bad, all nine, pod, pock, shorts, boys, and beyond. So that's the system that's running in the background. It was for me. It could be for you, of like, I can have one or the other. Before I had the relationship, I had money. When I took on the relationship, my money was all of a sudden, like within a month, it was completely gone. And then there was that morning, I woke up that morning and I was like, I'm going to have to give this up, or like, I'm going to have to give up one or the other. And this actually will not fly with me anymore. I'm changing my life. So everything that doesn't allow you to have all that and more, will you destroy and uncreate it all? Right and wrong, good and bad, all nine, pod, pock, shorts, boys, and beyonds. Within the chat, putting money first was regarded as blasphemous. There is still a little of that with me. My father also gambled. Fair enough. Actually, I forgot about that intense energy of like, you do not put money before love. Wow. Okay, so everywhere that's running, you guys, will you destroy and uncreate it all? Right and wrong, good and bad, all nine, pod, pock, shorts, boys, and beyond. Anthony, my boyfriend's, or his wife who passed away, she, loved the poverty because she grew up in a really wealthy family where money was always put first. So she tried to create her and Anthony's life in a way where they had no money, because that was much more loving to her than if they had money. So any of those points of view, it's more loving to not have money. Will you all destroy and uncreate them all times a godzillion? Right and wrong, good and bad, all nine, pock and pod, shorts, boys, and beyonds. Awesome. Yeah. Wow, I actually forgot about that point of view. That used to be a strong point of view in my world. And so everywhere putting money first is blasphemy, and you will go to the devil for it. Will you destroy and uncreate it all times a godzillion? Right and wrong, good and bad, all nine, pod, pock, shorts, boys, and beyonds. Yeah, because, oftentimes given the chance to go out and be social and be around people, and when you're given the chance to play with money, deal with your finances, look at money as a friend. Like, money is actually a friend. Like, when I sit down and play with my money and look at my bank statements and organize things, I actually, like, it's like working with a friend. It's me and money, I'm going to be social with money. I have a date with money. It's this really joyful thing. But oftentimes we'll decide that, friendships and social relationships are more important than money. But money is actually a friend too. It's only the judgment that they're different that is stopping us from having the money. So everything that is times a godzillion, will you destroy and uncreate it all? Right and wrong, good and bad, all nine, pod, pock, shorts, boys, and beyonds. Oh, I had a really stellar point and I lost it. Dang. All right. Well, so there's one more clearing coming. It was a clearing. I don't know what it was. Come back to me. So, and the other thing is, Gary said to me at the Choice of Possibilities class a couple weeks ago, I asked him he was talking about being an anomaly. And I said, well, Gary, how am I an anomaly? And he said, well, you're happy, you're young, and you have some real money. And he's like, that doesn't exist on the planet. So everywhere you're trying to exist on the planet by not having money, will you destroy and uncreate it all times a godzillion? Right and wrong, good and bad, all nine pod, poc, shorts, boys, and beyonds. So I'm not saying that this is like a, a one-stop shop, that once you have your receipts in order, you have your system, you enjoy filling out your things, you understand every little banking fee, you have your 10% flowing and growing. Actually, that's not true. Once you have the 10% flowing and growing, I'm sorry, but everything will probably work out. But it's not necessarily that this is going to fix everything, but I'm just showing you guys what I've done, what's worked for me, what's been fun for me, and we can go off of that, and we can couple it with your own awareness. Just like everybody's sending in all these different cool ways of doing books and receipts and stuff like that they find fun. So we'll incorporate that, and then we'll look at how I do it, and we'll marry them, and then you'll start to learn your financial reality. And I have a clearing for you guys to run until the call starts. What energy, space, and consciousness can you and your body be to be the master of the financial reality you truly desire for all eternity? And everything that doesn't allow that to show up, times a godzillion, will you destroy and uncreate it all? Right and wrong, good and bad, all nine, pod, poc, shorts, boys, and beyonds. Master of the financial. And then the other question I would ask until the call is, if you are on the call, what do I truly desire financially? Because I've been asking, I've said this to a lot of you guys who have been on my other calls. What has brought me to this phase is asking the question, what do I truly desire? I moved across the country. I created a relationship. I created money. I created all these things that I had been working towards and laying down the groundwork. But once I started asking, what do I truly desire? It actually showed up. Because the universe, the beautiful thing about the universe is it can't bring you anything unless you desire it. And we get so pissed off because we're like, well, I asked for it and it's not showing up. Well, it's because you don't actually desire it. The universe won't bring you crap presents. It only gets you good presents. But if you ask for crap presents, it won't bring you crap presents. Sometimes, it'll make your life you'll have a more difficult life when you're in your head. But if you're really asking for something to show up and it's not what you truly desire, it's not going to show up. So by asking, what do I truly desire? That automatically starts getting pulled into your life. So it's a beautiful question to live by. And then you can add, what do I truly desire financially, to start to get in touch with your financial world. We had another thing here. Okay, Eleanor said, what would it take not to be afraid of money? Well, yeah, that's exactly it. And fear is a distractor implant from you being the greatness of you. Because if you actually stop being afraid of this, if you actually started looking at it, playing with it, choosing it. And that's the thing, that the reason I want to do this is because it's so mammoth when you haven't started and you should start, and you're judging yourself so much for not starting that you can't start because it's so mammoth, and but it shouldn't be so mammoth. It's like this thing. And so you just never start. So this is like a way to go, okay, we're going to do this step. Okay, now we're going to do this step. Okay, now we're going to do this step. And you actually, it'll get broken down so that it'll be an easier process. So what would it take not to be afraid of money? So, fear is just a distractor implant. I now have money and I still don't want to look at it as it feels like it's not enough. Yeah, it'll never feel like it's enough until you start becoming friends with it. So everything that doesn't allow you to be friends with your money, will you destroy and uncreate it all? Right, wrong, good, bad, all nine, pod, poc, shorts, boys, and beyonds. And then Sarah, Julia, thank you for this. I'm laughing as I type this, but it's not too late to change my financial reality. No, it's really not. I mean, I haven't had like the craziest amount of debt that most people have had, but I've had I think the most was $33,000 at once, which is enough. I mean, it's not $107,000, but $33,000 is enough to clean up, and it can be cleaned up really quickly if you look at it. It's just the judgment that it's mammoth that causes you not to look at it that keeps it in place. But if you actually start looking at it and playing in the energy of it, it will start just breaking down and changing. But it's that point of view that like, this is bad, this is mammoth, I can't handle this, that will stop you from being able to change that. So, and can I really be the master of my financial reality? Well, we'll find out. Keep asking. I don't make promises. And then Peggy Sue, I have been asking, what do I truly desire financially? And I realized that I wanted more clarity and organization. Boom, your class. Well, that's great. And you're the one who asked me for the class, Peggy Sue. This is Peggy Sue's idea. So thank you, Peggy Sue. And Sarah Love said, exhale, thank you. Yeah, it's a mammoth thing. And debt is ugly. Debt is embarrassing. You know, nobody wants to talk about it. You don't want to know who's paying what interest and what interest you're paying. And you don't want to tell people that you've spent money on all these things that you didn't have money in the bank for. And you know, it's not really that significant. And I just want to invite you guys to the space of just the possibility that really this isn't as big of a deal as you're making it out to be, and it is changeable. I'm not sure how fast it will change, but if you actually, and there's the book, like Gary's trying to get us to do what I'm describing, but there's a book, How to Get Out of Debt, Stay Out of Debt, and Live Prosperously, and I've read that book. He recommends it in every foundation class. And this is sort of in an institution of that book. I've used a lot of those principles. So we will, like, a lot of it is, you know, knowing how much you spend, keeping track of everything that you spend. And just, he doesn't talk about enjoying it, but I'm going to just push you guys one step further. And you're not probably going to enjoy it at first, but there will be a space that opens up, because when you put your awareness on something, a space opens up. And right now you're going like this as though that's going to help. When you look, it will open. For some, it will open faster than others. And then the 10%, oh man, I'm way over time. Oh, well, we're going anyways. This is great. But the 10% is actually because what most people are doing is money in, money out, you know? And the 10% is a huge energetic change where you're actually taking something and it's not money in, money out. It's actually money in. And that's why you never spend it. And Gary says that the reason he tries to get us to do the 10% is to break down that system of money in, money out. And that's why you actually do your 10% before you do your credit cards, even if you have a high interest rate on your credit cards, because by breaking that down, more money will come in to pay off the credit cards. But when it's money in, money out, you're not actually saying that you love money. You're saying that you hate money. So when you actually take 10% of it and go, wow, I really am grateful that this is sitting here. This is really special. You're actually communicating with money and it's becoming your friend. So does anyone have any questions? Oh, Janine hopped on. Hi, Janine. I'm close to you. I'm in Bluffton. So if anybody has any questions, you can type them in this chat here or email me after the call. I made a beautiful website for the call. Let me type it in the chat. I think it's called financialconsciousness.weebly.com. Yeah, here it is, financialconsciousness.weebly.com. Oh, Sherry has another question that I'll answer before I finish, but let me just talk about it first here. So if you go to this financialconsciousness.weebly.com, you can read more about the class. I have a cute and actually very explanatory thing more about the class, even than I've said in the Hangout. It's $200, and it's 3 calls, and the calls are going to be February 10th and 11th. So next week, and we're actually going to like just dive really deep in. I'm going to give you guys tools. You're going to start practicing. And then the next call is March 10th, so that once you started to institute all this stuff, we can reconvene again, and we can look at where you are, what's changed, what has not changed. We can puck and pod and look at that and look at new systems that you can start to have. And then if we need to have an extension, we'll have an extension. If we don't need to have an extension, we won't. We'll just look at where you guys are at and what you're doing and what you're creating. So I tried to structure it like that. And Jackie says, is it US or Canadian? I'm going to do global pricing for the call. So if you're in Canada, it's Canadian for you. If you're in the US, it's US for you. I do it the same way as Access Consciousness. If you're in Europe, it's euros. It's wherever you are. I find that's the most honoring way. And then what's Cherie saying? And I don't know if I actually put the Canadian link on there. If you need the Canadian link, email me and I'll send you the Canadian link. I don't know if it's on there. I don't think it is. And I will go put it on the website as well, but you can also email me. I'll put it up in like 30 seconds after the call so you can go on. What's the other question? Cherie, maybe it's just me, but I feel like if I don't keep track of my money and totals, the money changes not to my advantage. Yeah, it's not just you. I think that's for everyone. And then Jackie said they need to pay via PayPal. Well, that's good because it's a PayPal link you're getting. And you can use credit card on your PayPal too. So does anybody have any questions before we go? I hope I answered, some of the things that you guys had. And if you get that this will change things for your future, please come and play with us, because it's not a fun area a lot of the time. And I think that if the larger the group of us that get together, the more we can change for each other. So I do invite you to come and play. And Jackie, can we do the energy ball? Yes, we can do the energy ball once we start the class. I have a special energy ball exercise where we pull money and things like that into our business. That's actually how I created my initial Access business, was using the energy pull exercise. So I can include that too. I include it pretty much in all my calls because it's so powerful. Cool. So does anybody have any further questions? No? All right. Well, I love you all. I'm glad that you're in my life, and I know I will get to play with you soon. Namaste. Just kidding. Not namaste. Okay. Bye, everyone.